So I want to take a slightly different approach with this video. I want to talk a little bit about neuroplasticity. So there's this principle called use it or lose it. It explains how neural circuits that are not actively engaged in performing tasks for an extended period of time begin to degrade. Literally, this means if we do not use an area of our brain for a prolonged time, we'll lose that function that was previously stored there. All right. So one of my concerns about superstition is the potential increase of cognitive deficiencies due to prolonged neglect of critical thinking exercises. Accepting things to be true without evidence, often referred to as credulity or gullibility, robs us of opportunity to exercise critical cognitive functions, which then creates a loop, right? A lack of engagement in critical thinking skills makes an individual more susceptible to accepting unfounded claims. I'd suggest to take note of the alarming amount of scams and pyramid schemes that arise and persist among church communities and religious communities altogether. That's another video though. So here's how neglecting critical thinking exercises might potentially lead to future cognitive deficiencies. And keep in mind, though I'm using the terminology of future outcomes, I'd like us to consider present reality as an outcome of generations of neglecting critical thinking, because we today are the outcome of the generations that came before. So regularly engaging in critical thinking enhances our cognitive flexibility, the mental ability to think about multiple concepts simultaneously. Lack of practice in critical thinking leads to a reduction in this flexibility, making it harder to adapt to new problems or perspectives. It doesn't take much to consider what happens to people in a progressive society when they have trouble adapting to new problems. Again, that's likely another video. Critical thinking is also crucial for effective problem solving. Without regular exercise of these skills, individuals will find it challenging to analyze situations, identify possible solutions, and foresee the consequences of their own actions, potentially making less and less effective decisions. Regular engagement in critical thinking contributes to better decision making. I think that one's pretty obvious, but it does this by allowing for a thorough evaluation of evidence, identification of biases, and consideration of different viewpoints, right? Which, if any of you have ever had a conversation with someone who is driven by their theistic or superstitious beliefs, the consideration of different viewpoints is a real problem for them. It's a real barrier. Declining to engage these activities results in an increased susceptibility to making decisions based on incomplete information, emotions, or biases. Then you have mental sharpness, or the ability to quickly and accurately process and analyze information. This diminishes without regular practice. Thus, neglecting critical thinking might reduce the protective reserve, potentially making the brain more susceptible to age-related decline in diseases like dementia. Critical thinking is also closely tied to learning. And for me, this is kind of a big one, as it involves questioning our assumptions, evaluating evidence, and synthesizing information. A lack of engagement in these processes leads to a decreased ability to acquire and integrate new knowledge. Simply put, superstition decreases our quality of life as a species in every way relevant for a social species. What I share here on my channel is so much bigger than just being about, people's beliefs or their religions or their doctrines. As a people-centric progressive, for me, this is about the cognitive health of humanity. Now, the good news is the human brain exhibits a phenomenal degree of plasticity that can enable us to kind of dig our way back out of decades of mental lethargy, as I've had to do over the past decade. The first almost the first almost the first 3 decades of my life, I spent declining a lot of critical thinking processes, a lot of cognitive functions I declined to engage in. I gave myself some activity, but not enough, which did lead to me making a lot of bad decisions. And by bad, I mean decisions that were not beneficial for me. Decisions that did not move my life forward and did not move my family forward in any type of way. And so I've been there, but that is the good news. You can start getting that, I hate to say muscles, but you can start working those muscles now. You can start engaging in critical thinking. Critical thinking for the human species should be a way of life. I've had to become much more intentional about challenging my biases and exercising my mind on a daily basis, and it's absolutely changed my life. So that's my little spiel for today. Use it or lose it.